space, final frontier. These are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Aloha.
And this week we're talking about the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, which it's got a really nice original series style title, I feel. Lift us where suffering cannot reach.
That's nice.
Yeah, I like it when they go for the long titles.
It's almost a remake of an original series episode.
Oh, which one?
The Cloudminders.
Cloudminders. Yeah. Okay, so a while since I've seen that one.
I actually watched it last night. I actually wanted to check that it wasn't the same planet. There's some because there's similarities, and it isn't.
I actually managed to miss the episode title. It reminds me of the series, I think it was series 1 from Discovery, which had the worst, pilot episode known, the Vulcan Hello, just bollocks. But they did have one which the Butcher cares not for the cries of the lamb, which was the longest episode title ever in Star Trek history.
Wasn't it the Butcher's block cares not for the? So it was even
cries
longer.
of the lamb. Yeah, it's something ridiculously long like that. But I was reading it. I remember just reading that one, going, "Oh, that's very original series, an overlong title. I like it."
So yeah, I'm liking the title. I liked the episode as well. I thought this was a really strong episode. Oh, not so keen.
You see, I must admit, I wasn't going, it's like, I like Star Trek, but I just want one where a kid dies with no point of hope. That's what I really... I mean, everything in every scene of it I liked, or the acting, or the kind of the writing in individual scenes, but the overall plot just kind of lost me a bit. So I was kind of in a very mixed mood. The performances were wonderful. The writing within the scenes were great, just as a whole piece. I didn't like the kind of... It felt like a bit of a downer one to me.
Oh, it was definitely a bit of a downer one, but that sort of surprised me. I was like, oh, they've gone there. I didn't see that coming, but yeah. So let's get into it then. So it's getting a bit dull recapping these things, but just because we didn't have it for so long, we're discovering everything. We start with a captain's log, which is great. We used to always start with captain's logs.
And this one's a captain's log, and it's a captain episode.
Yep. Yeah,
we seem to be going that whoever's doing a log, it's their episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get our Ortegas episode that we were anticipating. Yet. We might get Ortegas.
I'm sure we'll get one.
Okay, I'm gonna get an early doors next week, Ortegas.
Okay. Well,
and a comedy one, because to make up for this being quite a bit dark at the end.
That would be nice.
A light-hearted one. I think our bet just rolls over.
Yeah.
You all got it wrong last week, so
yeah.
Or do we just continue guessing Ortegas until they do one?
We're not allowed to change it now.
We do know that CBS do watch our channel, so they might listen to us.
You never know. Never know your luck.
I mean, I think they're already shot, but who knows? They might go for reshoots just to please us.
Well, there's always season 2 and season 3 and season 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. I've got high hopes for how long this is going to run.
I mean, it could do. Interesting, I saw this people sort of talking on one of the Facebook groups. It was an interesting conversation. They're saying, do you think any of the modern shows will beat TNG DS9 Voyager's record of 7 seasons? And I suppose they could do, but it'll be with less episodes, won't it?
I was about to say, I don't think beating them. I think it's quite easily conceivable, one of these shows running for 7 episodes quite easily. But they're not going to get close to how many episodes of them other shows there were.
But to be honest with you, I'd rather they go for 7 seasons with this number of episodes, all really tight. I find the hit ratio so much better on these 13-episode series, or thereabouts.
10 episodes have gone to now, haven't they?
Whatever it is. You know what I mean? Any show which is between, let's just say, 10 and 13, tend to have a better hit ratio. That's the modern way of doing it. I think it's just so much better. I'd rather quality than quantity.
Well, they've made the announcement, haven't they, that all of them are going to be 10 episodes from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which
I think
is
that's
good.
right, especially when you've got like 4 or 5 shows in production.
Yeah.
That still covers, that's an episode a week for the whole year. So
Yeah.
that'll do me.
I mean,
And
I've
I
said it
like
before.
the
I said,
idea. Sorry, go on.
no. Sorry, mate. You were doing.
I like the idea that we can have different shows with different flavors, so it's not exactly the same thing every time you tune in. Like, we've got Strange New Worlds now for his episodic thing. We've got Discovery Picard for his serialized. We've got Lower Decks for his comedy. We've got Prodigy for his kids' adventure. Now, that's great that each one's got a different flavor.
I don't care what they say. Prodigy's not for kids. I'm enjoying it too much.
Oh, I'm loving it.
My argument is always that it has occupied. It says it's for kids, but it's actually occupying the space the original series did for being a family show. It's not just for kids.
Yeah,
Perfect.
That's a better way of describing it. A family show.
And the
That
good
appeals to
news,
everyone.
the good news, bit of Trek news. The good news is that we will get Prodigy when Paramount Plus launches sometime next week, I think.
22nd of June.
22nd is what they're saying, but there's very little in the way of official confirmation. There's no official UK website.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is we will get all of Prodigy at launch. We'll get Discovery seasons 1 to 4 at launch. And then the bad news, we'll only get the first 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds on launch day, and then it'll go weekly. So we'll be approximately 4 weeks behind America.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot was saying that CBS are listening. So CBS, if you're listening, come join me over here for a second.
Well, we know to listen because
you might want to not encourage piracy. You might want to not encourage piracy, guys. Look, by doing week by week, when you know they've been launched in America, you're inviting people to pirate it. Now, obviously, me, Elliot, and James catch a flight every week to go to America to watch the episode and then fly back because we would never break the law in such a way. However, some unscrupulous people might get tempted when you tease them, knowing there's new Star Trek out there and they're not able to get it. Given that you're in a worldwide market these days, you might want to just launch them.
Launch it to the worldwide market.
Just an idea.
And also, with your Halo series, if you know that you're launching a streaming service, don't sell it to Channel 5 so that you can't put it on the streaming service. In fact, don't sell anything to Channel 5. I could probably pay you more than Channel 5 paid for it. Like, do you want my magic beans? Like,
I mean, it's called Channel 5 because it's a $5 per show.
Yeah, like when they launched and they were like, we've got the first run broadcast rights to The Matrix when he's showing
it was
6 years.
No, it was
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Sorry, it was.
And it was about 3 or 4 years down the line.
So like, we get it first, but not for several years. Anyway, that's by the by. So that's our Trek news anyway. So we'll give you a bit of a rundown on what we discovered.
Discovery has started shooting season 5 this week.
Yes, it has. Yeah,
because his name's Saru.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Yeah, shaved his hair.
He shaved his head. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to gazump you. Sorry.
He does it every year.
Yeah, shaves his head because he says it's more comfortable than wearing the skull cap.
Fair
enough.
I
love the fact that he does the sort of like reveal video of him shaving his hair. That was really cool. So here goes series 5.
Hopefully they've had a bit of a reflection on what worked and what didn't work last season,
and what's been working in the other shows.
Yeah,
that's one way of putting it. I was hoping they shot all the writers from series 5, but that was or series 4, but that was just me.
Like the reality is that now they have got 5 shows on the go and 5 shows that we're watching. Mm-hmm. They can see what the audience actually likes.
True. Yeah.
They can. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. This is what they're saying about this, and this is what they're saying about that, and work on it.
Yeah.
There's lots of people in the review shows online and all this who I've seen who have like either traditionally watched Star Trek and have stopped, or have never been really big Trekkies. And the amount of them who've said that they love Strange New Worlds is amazing. Like I really love the last series of Picard, but the popularness, how popular like Strange New Worlds is kind of like really kind of unprecedented for new Trek.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a breakthrough hit, which is really good news for Star Trek's longevity anyway. So back to this episode then. We get the captain's log. Pike's been there before, so it's that classic original series trope of we're boldly going where no one's been before,
except me.
We've been there before. Weirdly, we also get an on-screen title. Like he says, wait, we're at the so-and-so system, and it comes up on screen, so-and-so system.
I quite like that.
I don't mind it. I just thought it was a bit odd. Like
I didn't really notice it because they do it in so many shows now.
Yeah, they do.
Sci-fi shows. It's something that I've come to be used to in a lot of other shows that I didn't sort of notice it as being unusual for a Star Trek show.
They did it in the Kelvin movies, and
that's what it reminded me of. That's the first thing I thought.
As I say, I don't mind it. It's a little bit redundant, but then in my head canon, I've justified it as, well, look, they needed to keep the on-screen graphic people in work over the pandemic, so put us a title on there. And if that's the case, support the workers. Absolutely, we'll have a title wherever you want one.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of neat. I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, it was something I didn't actually.
Like you say, Jim. Now you say
because, like I say, I'm not used to seeing it on other shows. It's just a normal thing.
Like you say, James, now the fact that all I'll be able to hear is the fact that he says it just before it appears on screen now.
Yeah.
It is kind of redundant, but I don't know.
They could have done like a police squad joke, like he could have said, we're at the so-and-so system when a different system name comes up.
It's like them cartoons where they speak and the words come out.
Yeah.
Now, if they're going to go for police squad, I want them to do a police squad ending to the episode where everyone goes in a freeze frame and then like a cleaner comes on and someone drops a cigarette out of their hand into their drink.
Somebody comes on and reapplies Captain Pike's hair gel.
Have you seen that cartoon, that meme that's been doing the rounds this week? And someone's done their Pike in the chair, and it's got the massive...
Yeah.
Biggest hair in showbiz. Actually, he is keeping up with the original series ethos. So, Shatner famously had his wigs, and he's got just big hair.
Oh, speaking of Shatner and his wigs, I saw an episode of Columbo featuring Shatner.
I narrow it down. That could be anyone.
There's two. This was the second one. This was when Columbo was much older. So Shatner's second go at playing the murderer. And he had a tash. And clearly it was a stuck-on mustache because it changed colour, it changed shape in scenes. There was one bit where they glued it on, but they'd only curved it on one side, so it sort of fit the contours of his face on one side, then went in a straight line on the other one.
I think the producers were going and say, right, okay, well, we're having Shatner back, but we can't possibly do that. He's been in another episode. Aha, but if we put a moustache on, no one will ever know it's still him.
Yeah, he's playing the guy's brother.
Well, that was always the trope in the 70s and 80s and 60s things. If it's an evil version, have a goatee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we'll get back to this week's episode, but that's the one thing I did think when I was watching the sort of Amok Time scene at the beginning of last week's episode was I would just love one shot where the extra was clearly not him, with curly hair like they did. I really remember whenever I went to an action scene, Spock's hair suddenly went curly in a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
I'd love to if they'd done that one.
They were really bad for that, and especially since they remastered them in HD for Blu-ray and broadcasting.
I was about to say on the TVs that were broadcast at the time, you probably couldn't tell.
Absolutely.
I can only say on 80s TVs I could. I remember seeing when I was a kid, and I just used to love when I go to fight scene. He'd get curly hair and become fat suddenly. Just to be...
Yeah. The sort of subplot running through this episode, the bit of fun plot, I suppose, is Uhura's training with Lan. And I like that Pike sort of winds her up about it at the start, watch out for lesson number 6 or whatever it is.
Yes, I've noticed.
Classic Pike.
Yeah, it's this easygoing manner that he's got with all the crew, which is brilliant.
I think he's my new Admiral Silver Daddy Bear. I've got a bit of a man crush on him.
I think most of us have at this point, yeah.
Yeah, he's damn charming.
Yeah, if he's not careful, he's going to become the most popular captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. God, if you could somehow do a time travel epic which involved him and Admiral Silver Daddy Bear, oh man, I'd be on the edge of my seat.
No reason you couldn't do that.
We've said this numerous times, haven't we? There's no reason you can't have a big crossover episode that's time travel.
Yeah,
you can have
Why is
Admiral
that
Silver
happening?
Daddy Bear. You can have Picard in there.
Yeah.
We've got the Lower Decks cast appeared at the convention in the uniforms.
Yeah.
So and the characters were designed specifically to look like the people playing them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, all you've got to do is have Will Wheaton come back as the Traveller. Like, he'd be a great catalyst for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Christmas special.
Do it like like they did with the Netflix Marvel series, and they have the Defenders mini-series and brought.
I was about to say, do it like something like Flashpoint, how the Arrowverse did it.
Ah, yeah, spot on.
The Arrowverse got really good at doing crossovers.
Or in the Book of Boba Fett, where they just made 2 episodes of Mandalorian.
That was obviously
the honest one.
like, sorry, John Favreau, we've only got budget for you to do 8 Mandalorian episodes. Like, oh, interesting.
Interesting you say
that.
I haven't watched this week's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is it a Mandalorian?
Yeah, it's just the Mandalorian this week.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like, he's quite young at this point, so he's not got Baby Yoda with him.
I mean, there's not one person who didn't see those episodes go, what now? Like, I'm loving it, but why?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, it was just, what?
My favourite meme with that was where they had the bit out of Return of the Jedi where Han Solo goes, Boba Fett, where? Anyway, so the Enterprise is getting shot at by these little ships, and I love the way Pike sort of, after he shoots them, he just sort of goes, damage.
Yeah. Shields down by 2%.
No, 0.2%, wasn't it? Wasn't it
It was
something
something
like
silly.
that?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I was just like, yeah, that's not doing anything. And then he goes a bit Captain Kirk this episode, because when the woman beams him on, he goes all gooey and schoolboyish, which I thought was
was
really
so good.
fun.
Now, I said about like not being enamored with this episode as a whole, but loving the scenes. God, it is so hard to act like that goofy, because we've all had that one moment with a girl where we've gone like that, but it's so hard to fake, and he's just flawless at it. It's so good.
Where do I know her from?
I'm a captain of the ship now.
I'm not sure, actually. She's very familiar.
I've watched it a couple of times, the episode, and I'm going, who is she? What have I seen her in? I know I've seen her in a lot in things.
It'll be one of them that she's in everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really bad at this, but my wife Chloe's brilliant. Like, as soon as anyone pops up on screen, she goes, "It's so and so." Then I like as well that number one's reaction to all of this, like Pike going all gooey. She sort of almost becomes more serious, and she almost takes charge.
She does wind it up a little bit, doesn't she? She goes, well, should I call you Lieutenant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was having fun with it.
Like, they've got the thing about that. She says, "Oh, I don't recognize you in yellow," which is a good acknowledgement that last time they met, he'll have been in the Discovery uniforms, but also the fact that he's sort of right embarrassed. He's like, "Oh, no, it's actually gold," So, yeah, I love the way he does all of that. And we get the not so subtle hint that there's something strange going on with this little boy, where the guy's like, "Are you his father?" And it's like, only in a biological sense. And you're like, right, it's going to be one of these weird alien society episodes, which again, that's not a complaint. It's fine.
Okay, do you want some of the? Do you want some of the shows she's been in? So she was in The Flash, which I might have seen her in that. Grey's Anatomy. I'm just going for the hits. She's been in a lot of stuff, actually. Librarians.
Yeah, I watched that.
Never really watched.
Yeah, of course.
Kick-Ass 2. God, she's been in a lot of shows.
I know she is now, straight away. As soon as she said Librarians, I've got it.
Yeah, where else? I think she was in 24 at some point. I'm just looking.
I'm not sure, but she's got a bit of a look of, what was her name? Renee from 24, who played the Borg Queen in Picard.
4400 and Wrong Turn, and I'll leave it there.
There we go.
A little run through of her.
Yeah, I know exactly who she is now. Yeah,
79 credits, not bad for a relatively young actress.
Yeah. Then Dr. Mabenga reading his book to his daughter. Now, she says, "Oh, you've read me this bit before," and I discovered the reason why. Because when he puts that book away, he don't put a bookmark in, and it's like you need to be using a bookmark, Mabenga. This has clearly become a problem.
Yeah.
And
Also, if she's get beamed out mid-sentence, surely, like each time she comes back, it's like, why did you suddenly stop what you were saying? Like it was midway through talking to her. It's nitpicking.
And he's like, "Oh, I've done it so it's less disruptive." Like I thought it'd be more disruptive, not knowing when you're going to be beamed up. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe like when you get beamed up, it feels like you're going to sleep or something. So she don't know. I don't know. Then I like the kid's father, the doctor guy from the alien planet, when he comes in and he's sort of really sniffy about sick bays, like, "Oh, you call this an up-to-date facility? Like, we've got no diseases at all, mate, you know."
I won't IMDb him, but I recognise from quite a few things as well. Really great actor. Really, he does this really lovely, slightly awkward performance.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Just a little off kilter.
At first, I think it's implied, oh, he's going to be a bad guy. Like, he dismisses his son, like, oh, only in a biological way. And you get the sense, oh, is he going to be like he hates his son? And it's a weird society where the parents don't care for the children. And of course, it turns out quite the opposite by the time we get to the end of the episode. But
I like that misdirect.
Yeah, at this point, the playing him were meant to be a bit unsure about him, I think. And then there's the crash ship, and they find the weird device thing, which looks kind of like that game that Wesley had in that episode. And this coin, which ties in and everything.
Yeah, it's a medal that they never lose. And
so I'm not quite sure how that works out later on. So is it implied that guy lost his coin and replaced it, and that's why it looks a bit?
Yeah, I think the idea is,
he hasn't got a genuine coin.
Ah, right. Okay.
That's why she was going, he's going, it must have got damaged in this thing, but it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Show me it again because it was a fake.
So he got a knockoff, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I like Spock sort of bonding with the kid because the kid's obviously really, really clever.
The kid's a genius, isn't he? He's hyper intelligent.
And he's saying, you could set up your own subspace.
And this is actually part of the tragedy of this episode, is how intelligent this kid is.
Yeah.
May I also throw into the mix for that one that Spock playing it that he's enamored with the kid, but without any emotion. I thought lovely, very Vulcan-like. I like these Vulcan moments. I don't mind if you do a mix of him having more human moments because it's earlier on in his journey and some Vulcan moments, but I think I need a few more of these. If they did it that way, I think I'd take to a bit more, just personally.
Yeah, it's moments like this he feels at his most Spock-like.
Yeah.
See, like when he says, I'm sure you could do that, but Dr. Mabenga probably wouldn't be happy. You know, if you did it all.
Oh, if you did that, that would be quite something. You know, like you compliment the kid on the scientific achievement. It was so Spock. It's really
I could make this into a subspace transmitter.
Yeah.
Which plays into later on in the episode.
It does indeed. And so then we get that bit with the coin and everything. And this is another one of those where when you watch it the second time and you know more sort of what's going on, like she kills him pretty quickly. It's almost like she kills him because she don't want him talking to Pike and explaining what's going on. You know, you watch it and you're like, yeah, okay, self-defense. I can see it. But also you're like, did she have to go that far? Or that's what I thought anyway.
No, I agree. I'm sorry. I agree, but I just didn't have anything to add to it. Yes.
No.
I agree totally.
You don't have to. It's fine. And then we get the return of Lieutenant Kirk, which I know there's been people online. Excuse me. Hay fever.
It's okay, I've got it.
Yeah. So we get Lieutenant Kirk. People online have been saying, where's Lieutenant Kirk? He hasn't been in a couple of episodes. Like, well, he's a guest star. He's not one of the main guys. But anyway, it's nice for him to check in and he has a bit of a chat with the horror and everything. It's all about this rules of security thing. I like that they're not directly, but they are ascribing sort of a comical side to Lan now. Like, I don't think she finds it funny at all that she's got these rules, and she probably thinks this is the most sensible way of training everybody up and everything. But I like the fact that we're sort of getting humour by proxy, that everybody knows she's got all these rules and they're a bit crazy and everything. So
I did love that. It was that first moment with her. It was like, did you have a nice break? Actually, yes, it was very refreshing. You don't get breaks in security. Like, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And her so innocently going, yeah, I had a lovely time. How sweet of you to ask.
Yeah. She's still very young. Very much.
I love that. It really feels like a really lovely shade on her, because when we get to later series, wherever you do see her like featured, she's always kind of quite sassy, quite in control of things. She knows who she is. So it's about the journey to her getting there. That seems to be really well written.
I do like that they're showing the cadet on her as a cadet. And as a cadet, she's got to serve in every department to get some experience.
Yeah, it's different.
Like, she's not just, she's there to get experience with a starship. And part of that is, you might want to be on the bridge as a command officer, but you've got to know what all the other little bits do.
Yeah.
And even by her as becoming the her from the Kelvin timeline. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's more sort of in line with what we see in Lower Decks. Whereas, like with Tilly, they were very clear that she's on the command track and she's been.
Well, she was also an ensign. She wasn't a cadet, was she?
Well, she started as a cadet right at the beginning, and then they made her an ensign at the end of season 1.
Did they? I can't even remember.
They did. Yeah, she was a cadet to begin with. You see, that's how far we've come.
Yeah.
But now she's a teacher. There you go. That's how quick it goes when you jump 900 years. Pike then gets his end away. And people are saying, oh, he's just like Captain Kirk. I mean...
Well, this is two out of 6 episodes, so it's 33% of the time Pike gets his end away. I think this might actually be a bigger percentage than Kirk.
I think it probably is, if you look at up to episode 6 of TOS, I think, I bet Kirk had kissed more women by this point, but we know that Pike... Yeah,
but Pike just goes straight in.
And also, you've got to give Kirk...
What's that?
You've got to give Kirk the 60s filter thing as well. So, like, in the 60s, you couldn't have shown him getting his end away. It was all implied. Every time he kissed, he...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Fondled the young lady in question.
What was it? Like, going back to the Cloudminders, I was watching it again, and there's a part where he's lying in bed, and she comes in to assassinate him. And he fights her off, and he's got her pinned down, and she's like, I'll get you, and all that. And he goes, oh, actually, I'm quite enjoying myself.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. It's in these, in like original Star Trek, in all these kind of shows from the 60s and in James Bond and stuff. It's when you watch those old shows, it's like, as soon as an assassin has the kind of like male counterpart on top of them, then suddenly they forget they're assassin and fall in love. Because, assassins are so weakly trained when they're women like that.
I was going to say, it's very James Bond, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a trope that you could use back then.
Yes.
You couldn't do it now.
No, from 2022 eyes, it's very rapey. So, but anyway,
spade.
But with Pike, it's all consensual. Now, this is where we need to talk about his hair again, because we get the post-coital scene, and his hair is still immaculate. So
I don't care. Every scene just have Pike's hair immaculate. I'm happy. Yeah,
but that's
whatever gel he's using.
Are we in 23rd century?
Yeah.
Yeah, 23rd century hair products.
Century hair products for you.
Well, I mean, whatever it is
bring back into shape. Whatever you do.
Yeah. So, very impressed with that. In fact, they should sell Captain Pike hair.
This is L'Oreal for men, 2020. Yeah. 23rd
That's
century.
it.
Because you're worth it in the future.
Paramount CBS, they need to start selling Captain Pike hair gel, Captain Pike Brill cream.
Do you know, the only thing I'm going to add to this bedroom scene is just where we're making comparisons with Kirk. I remember like a little while ago, there was a rumor that if Kirk appears in Strange New Worlds, he's going to have a gay love interest. And I'm like, yeah, I'd buy it. I reckon Kirk just fucked anything that walked. I don't think it mattered too much to him. Like, different species weren't a problem, so different genders. Yeah.
I think, to be fair, like, I don't know, but I think somebody made that up to try.
I think.
Oh, I think so. But I'm just saying, if he did have a fucking gay,
I'd be very annoyed with it. Not because it's a gay scene, though, but because you're doing it to Captain Kirk, because he's never been portrayed as gay.
Yeah.
No, but again, I just imagine he screwed anything with movie, which in the 60s you couldn't have shown a man with another man. Like, as it was, you had a kind of the world having a meltdown because he dared to kiss a black woman, you know. So a gay love affair would never have been shown.
No, it wouldn't. But well, we'll see. I have a feeling that was all just made up. But
yeah.
And then this is becoming a bit of a repeated thing with Pike. Like, it's almost like, have you ever watched the How It Should Have Ended, where it's an animated thing, and if you've not seen it, Google it, it's great. And basically they take films and they do an animation of what could have happened at the end of the film, and it's all done for laughs. And whenever they do superhero films, it always ends up with Superman and Batman sat in a cafe having a chat. And one of the things that always comes out is that Batman tells everybody his secret identity, particularly women, as a sort of a come-on line, like, you know, do you want to know my secret identity? And I'm getting a bit of this with Pike now, like, do you want to know my secret? And it's like, you know,
do you mean he's playing for pity sex?
No, because he's already done the deed, but he tells her after anyway, you know. But, you know, that first episode, we had Captain April, and it was like, what's bothering you, Chris? And he's like, it's classified, and it's even classified from you. But then, since then, he's pretty much told at least one person an episode that he's had the... And I suppose, if you squint, you can say, well, as long as he doesn't say how he came by this knowledge of the future, and he doesn't mention that he was on a mission with Discovery and blah, 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 blah. But it is becoming a bit of a thing that it's not that much of a secret, Pike. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if the crew were all talking about it, because you're telling a lot of people about this thing in the future. And obviously it does play into this episode, because it's almost like in Voyager, where we had them episodes where it's like, we've got the technology to send you home, but you'd have to break the Prime Directive to do it. And it's kind of like that with this. It's like, we could potentially cure you of what happens to you, but we're going to put an obstacle there that prevents you from doing it. So
it just reminded me a bit of now you say it, of the last episode of the IT Crowd, where Matt Berry's on Secret Millionaire, and every time he gets stopped, everyone's like, excuse me, sorry, I'm on an episode of Secret Millionaire. May I come into your club? And he's dressed in this homeless outfit, but he's riding a limo and he's got champagne.
I love
he
Matt
just tells
Berry.
everyone.
He's one of them guys who
so
he could say anything and it'd be funny. Whatever he says, whatever he does is just hilarious. I love that. So Uhura then works out that these guys who attacked them are actually from the same species, and blah blah blah. It's a little bit like in Star Trek Insurrection, where they're like, oh, we've worked out that the Baku and the and then it looks like the dad's doing a runner with the kid, and it looks like he beams him off the ship to this other ship, which blows up. But he didn't. And I like the fact that Pike's annoyed about it. It's like, I want someone to explain to me how they managed to beam someone off my ship, you know?
Yeah.
I like that you get that undercurrent that actually he's really pissed off about this.
Yeah. Someone explain how this just happened.
Yeah, and there's the transporter chief, and it's like, why did you beam off? I didn't do it, jeez.
Yeah,
I love that reaction.
a little bit, yeah.
That was great.
They did make it look like a Federation transporter, though, to be fair.
Yeah,
like
and the sound.
Yeah, they did a good job of trying to stick, because they didn't have to do that. But they're obviously like, you know what, I don't like that transporter chief when we beamed on.
Well, I think it was the dad who used the transporter internally.
Yeah.
So he has actually used the Enterprise's transporters.
Right. Yeah,
that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
The one thing, though, that... Oh, sorry, have we skipped over the bit where the kid gets Dr. Mbenga's kid.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, there's that bit, isn't there?
Sorry, just because that was one bit which I kind of like, but at the same time, I was thinking it's like, but the daughter, every time they've shown her coming out of the transporter, like, which only a couple of times to talk to Dr. Mbenga, she always seems pretty happy about it. And she suddenly gets like, but I was having fun, as if she never has fun usually.
Well,
I don't feel like they've.
It's because in between the last episode, he's read her that same chapter about 8 times. So she's starting to get really annoyed with it now.
But
I don't know. I just get the feeling that she just seemed pretty happy with a lot. Like she just seemed
it's
bedtime stories.
Well, it does make sense because she's a young child and it's the first time in we don't know how long that she's playing with another child.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the impression which I got from the dialogue they've used so far is that she's, from her perspective, only been in the transporter for like a couple of stories, basically.
Yeah, but
that's what I thought.
But
yeah.
It's probably like any child as well. Like they're doing stuff with the parents, and the parents think they are having a great time, and then the mate comes round, and it's like, right, see, this is boring.
That's true enough. That one I'll buy. But I the way they've certainly scripted it.
I've got this as being not portraying a normal child when they're playing with another child. It's fair. Like
it's just if they're trying to say she was, if they're trying to say she was incontent with the kind of like.
No, I think
reading the stories. They didn't really show that, but I get what you're saying now. Yeah,
I think that's just a child playing with another child. Oh, I was having fun.
No, that's fair.
I liked the space age hopscotch grid.
I liked how he went. Don't worry, I've made this out of inert gases, so it won't harm me.
Yeah.
Almost a bit too clever for his own good, that kid. You know.
And like I said, this is the tragedy of this episode.
Well, also they've sort of implied a time limit on themselves now because I feel like Willow was very in love with the scene as well.
Strong on this.
Willow, I'm telling him if you'll just be quiet for a second. Willow wanted to say that I did feel like when he said it's like, oh, you'll be out soon. I feel like that scene and how he saw her enjoying herself with the other kid, I feel like has put a kind of time limit on him to do it. So. I feel like the storyline's going to move on because otherwise, he's just mean now because they've shown like he feels guilty because she can't play with other kids and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the thing that like she, to all intents and purposes, won't age unless this goes on for a ridiculous.
Yeah, she's only going to age by every time the amount that she's outside the transport.
But he wants to get it done. So this is where we get sort of to the twists and turns and wrapping up and everything. So the kid's not dead. He's still on the Enterprise. And this is where you think, oh, they're actually trying to save him from something. It's not as clean cut as we thought. And turns out they're actually sacrificing him to power not power the planet, but they say that the planet's like lava and things like that, don't they? And then they're in sort of a floating city. So again, back to your cloud minders.
Yeah, which is why I went back to see if it was the same planet.
Yeah.
And it's why I think this is very much a remake. Obviously more added into it with different jeopardy, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's often in like Star Trek shows... Actually, that's what I liked about Strange New Worlds thus far. It didn't seem to be too much... Okay, there was archetypes of episodes, so like a Starship Down kind of thing, but there was no direct parallels like they did with Enterprise. A lot of the episodes were just versions of TNG or Voyager or whatever episodes.
They've admitted, haven't they, the guys who were like the producers, Brannon and Braga, that they literally had burnout on creative burnout by the time Enterprise came around, so they just fell into doing the same thing.
Yeah, whereas this one... Yeah, you never feel like, even if you can draw a parallel with another episode, you never feel like it's direct copy.
No.
Like
I said the other week, it's that thing of there are certain storylines, like there's the disease storyline, there's the Prime Directive dilemma storyline, but it's how do these characters react to that, and what are the wrinkles that make it different, which is great. But going back to Enterprise recycling ideas for a minute, my favourite one is the episode that Rene Auberjonois appears in. And it's a straight rip-off of the DS9 episode Shadow Plagues. It's a society and they're all holograms, but they don't know the holograms. And apparently, Rene Auberjonois, when he was on set, was saying, "Do you know we did this episode like in season 2?
Nice.
We did this storyline." And they're going, "Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine." It's like, yeah, but we never mind. I just love this idea that he's like, you know what? I'll take the paycheck, but I've told them I've done my bit.
Yeah.
So this ties into what you were saying, Elliot, about how like intelligent he is and everything. I get the impression maybe that if this thing is powered by his brain and his brain power, they need him to be super intelligent.
I got the impression that it has to be a child, because what she says is that how she describes it is to Pike is that their ancestors who created this machine that powers the city, runs the city, they've lost all their scientific knowledge and the engineering knowledge. They're living in a utopia and everything's provided for them, but they have no knowledge how they get it. They can't repair the machines, build new machines. Mm-hmm. They've lost that. And she said, we don't know why, but it has to be powered by a child. Not that it has to be an intelligent child. She just says it has to be a child. And we don't know why they did that. And the tragedy of this episode is that he's hyper intelligent because he's grown up on that colony, which turns out it's the same race, why he can hook into the machine. But that colony has spaceships and have things, so they have their development scientifically and mentally.
I guess my assumption was
the tragedy, I think, is he's the hyper intelligent one who could possibly work out how to do these things without the machine. Yeah. And he gets plugged into it, and that's it, he's gone.
I got the assumption it was a bit of both, that it's like, even though they said it was the child which was important, the fact they were hyper-intelligent, it kind of created an assumption with me. I must admit, it was an assumption, but that the hyper-intelligence was part of the mix.
No, all she's like, because how she describes it is that the only thing is that it has to be a child.
But they never, to be honest, they never really said one way or the other his hyper-intelligence. They, like what you've said, makes sense to me, that it's like he might have been the solution in the future, but they didn't really follow that.
That's how I saw it. I've seen it as the tragedy of the episode.
But I feel like they should have almost brought in why, either highlighted that it's like, if you let geniuses like this grow to maturity, they might figure it out. Or they should have kind of gone along the route of the intelligence is part of why he has to be chosen. Yeah. It's almost like he was a prodigy, and it would have been better if they used that a bit more.
Yeah.
In the solution.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You mean it's a bit like last episode where I had to headcanon how Spock and T'Pring moved themselves. So I've headcanon this one.
Well, it's like, it sounds like me and Jim have headcanoned it one way and you've headcanoned it the other. Yeah. But neither which they really say it is.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been nice addition.
About headcanon, we can all do it.
Yeah, and sometimes I must admit, it does feel good they leave it open. With this, it feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like it. Maybe
if I'm right, it's a missed opportunity with a great tragedy of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the episode's a bit too front-loaded. Like we could have done to spent a bit more time at the end with the.
Why did it have to be him? Why was he picked as the?
Although, in all fairness, I don't want this episode to be sadder at the end.
No, this is the thing, isn't it? Obviously, Pike tries to stop it, but gets overpowered and everything. And I think that's showing as a contrast, because if it had been the original series and it had been Kirk could have somehow fought off all the guards and rescued the kid. And if there was an intelligent computer, he'd have talked it to death and
probably sat with it.
Yeah, Kirk would have saved the day in this situation.
Yeah.
But Pike notably doesn't, despite doing his best. And again, there is like the tragic element is that the kid's still down there being mind-zapped, but they say, well, you can't take him out now because it'll kill him.
Even the scene where they're plugging him in, where the woman's there and she goes, no, let him through. Come on, let him see. Like, she still doesn't see what's wrong with what they're doing. She still thinks he's going to get it. And then when he doesn't, it's only then when she gets the guards to pull him back. That's really nice, actually.
But that shows a difference in culture as well, doesn't it? That just because we see something one way, she sees it that this one child gets to do this great thing. They get to join with the great computer and be part of everything.
And
it also reminds me of Babylon 5, the guy in the planet.
Yeah.
Guy
who powers the planet. From Dylan's race. The
Minbari.
Minbari, of course.
I was trying to remember his name. Begins with D. I can't
I know the Zathros who works with him.
Zathros, yeah. I need to do a rewatch.
You're not the one.
You're not the one, but you are the one.
Yeah,
but
not the one.
The thing is, the kid's willing to do it. And again, you can take that a couple of ways. You can take it as either he genuinely understands fully what's required of him and he's happy with it. Or you can say, well, he's been brought up in a society and he's been conditioned to believe that. So,
yeah,
it is abusive.
One thing I would have brought into this, which I think they didn't now, which would have been a nice addition, is to sort of say what you're saying, Jim, about like the cultural differences. I think that would have actually been really nice to like, look, if we're going to really be the Federation, stick to these morals, that includes respecting someone's cultural differences, even if they're so current to us.
Let's bear in mind this is before the Prime Directive. We only have General Order 1 at the moment.
Yeah, but that's which was being rebranded to the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
No, but that'll never catch on.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's basically a Prime Directive by another name, and I feel like again that would have been a really interesting one to bring in.
I do think,
in fact, if they're still on the road to becoming the Prime Directive, maybe in the exploration of that, it's like, well, look. General Order Number 1 doesn't really stay. It's like, and then you could have had a conversation with him and Admiral April saying, well, you know, yeah, but it's the Prime Directive now, so you have to respect that.
Yeah. I want to see like the advertising campaigns they do to get people to stop saying General Order 1 and start saying Prime Directive. Like
350 million extra credits for the Federation Medical Corps. With the Prime Directive.
It's the big rebrand, yeah. I mean, they do touch on it a little bit because she says, well, is the Federation any better? Like, can you honestly say that there's nowhere where children are suffering and a blind eye's not turned? And it's like, it's a bit of a, what do they call it? A straw man argument, really.
Yeah, it's a straw man argument.
But, like, okay, there might be a bit where kids are suffering unintentionally.
But you've also got to ask, like, this part where he's actually put into the machine isn't on show to the rest of the population.
No,
this
true.
This is kept as a very private thing. So does the rest of the population not know what happens once he ascends and is beamed away?
That would have been a nice ending if they exposed it to the rest of the population. You know, like it's not these people, it's these people within this planet who are doing it.
Yeah, and
that would have been an interesting wrinkle.
Then they can, you know, you could leave it as well.
You have the planet who thinks who conditioned to cheer and think it's great that this child ascends, and it happens. I don't know how often it happens, but
yeah. And
like, does the child stop aging and all that, and it lasts for 100 years? We don't know that, or does the child last a year and it's replaced with another child?
Yeah, like, because then you could finish the episode on the note of, well, we didn't stop it, but because we've shown them it, if enough of the people don't want it, they will be able to vote against it, you know. And
exactly, because I felt the hopeful ending they kind of went towards was the idea that the dad's now going to fight for the future kids.
Yeah,
but there's no real promise of a lot of hope there. That's a possibility more than a promise of hope. I think something like that. Then they exposed him. So even though this kid got wide in the machine, I'd like a more definitive. Well, at least we ended it in the future. It's sort of like, oh well, we lost. Yeah. And that was kind of the end.
Yeah, that was it. It was a very flat ending. It was like,
that's what probably lost me to the episode altogether.
It's kind of, oh, he's dead. That's it. Nothing we can do. Off we go. And you're like, oh,
let's have a lingering shot of sad Pike.
Yeah, like, there could have been sort of 5 minutes less of other stuff in the show.
Yeah,
just not even cutting out a whole scene, just sort of shortening a few scenes.
Yeah, you could have tightened it up. And
in fact, probably didn't need 5 minutes. You probably do it in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, like if this had been Picard, you'd have had Picard ruminating on it at the end, you know.
Yeah.
He'd probably have had a chat with someone, or he'd have made
Kirk could have found some way to stop it.
Yeah, Kirk could have stopped it, definitely. But
Janeway would have exposed it to the population.
Yes.
Instead of in the Prime Directive. Cisco would have probably just fired a biological weapon at the planet.
Yeah.
You're going to kill children, I'll show you what killing children is.
And Mariner would have tried to save the kid and then end up exploding the planet.
Yeah, see what they could have done. See, again, I know we're getting into wild sort of speculation here, but you said about Cisco and his biological weapon. What they could have done is launched something into the planet that's made of lava to make it not into lava.
Yeah.
So they could have gone, right, you've got a solid planet now. You don't need to be floating up here. You can land all your cities.
And a science answer.
Yeah, Spock could have done something like that, but anyway.
You see, I didn't. It's almost like, I'm not saying you can't have shades of darkness. I'm not saying you can't have the child dying, even though as sad as that is, or being wired into the machine. But I felt like I needed at the end of this the sort of promise that they'd made a difference so this didn't happen next time. Otherwise, really, they've done nothing there.
They haven't. That's the thing. It is.
The thing, like, there's another thing when we keep doing this and going like they could have done this, they could have done that to tie up the story. We do know that we're getting standalone episodes.
Oh yeah,
but there is an underlying story because we keep getting flashbacks to things that have happened in previous episodes.
Yeah.
At the start of them all, so it's quite possible in 2 or 3 seasons we'll be back at this planet.
It is, but I feel like it still doesn't make this episode any more satisfying.
No,
it ends the episode with them not having done anything really.
Yeah,
substantive.
But I wonder if that's partly because, like as I say, if they are going to come back to it, which would make a lot of sense if they came back and there's another child about to be. It's like, what? They're already dead. We were only here last year, so you kill the child.
Interesting.
And then something happens with it. And the reason that this is probably, you can explain why this is left unsatisfying, is that they're so used to doing serialized Star Trek at the moment. They're still getting into the standalone episodes that you've got to, even if you're coming back to it, you've got to tie up the episode and have it satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it really felt like just someone had this thing going, I'm going to end an episode where they lose, and won't that be cool?
Which, again, that's fine, but like you say, I don't think it has the emotional wallop it wants to. And
that goes back to why we have different views on the child thinking he was so intelligent that these little bits weren't explained.
Yeah, it could have landed a little bit better right at the end. So it does just feel like, oh well, that was the thing that happened. What we're doing next week? Off we go. And
exactly,
you expect we're
doing those
your Star Trek crew to.
We know what we're doing next week. We're doing fun with
Ortegas. Yeah, that's what we're expecting.
And you can take that however you want.
Well, any more on this one then, guys, before we wrap up?
No, just again, the individual scenes, the acting, and even the writing on the individual scenes was quite good. It's just the overall story, I think, I needed that bit more polish, bit more stuff explained, and something they've achieved by the end. Just otherwise, it becomes when you realize that Indiana Jones doesn't do anything in that one of the movies. You know, that thing which people talk about kind of feels like that, but it's more obvious they do nothing at the end.
Yeah.
For this one.
This is what's interesting about doing these breakdowns to the episodes, because I come into this thinking that was a nigh on next episode, and now I'm like, oh, actually, you make a good point.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin it for you guys.
No, not ruined it at all.
I still enjoyed it as an episode, but I can see how it needed a tie up properly.
Yeah.
It needed that
Captain's Log supplemental.
A Captain's Log supplemental, and him lamenting on what they've done.
Yeah, Captain's Log supplemental. We made a bit of a tit of it, but you know what? I got my end away. And off we go.
I was like, even the darkest, one of the darkest episodes of DS9, Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
where famously Cisco raised the glass at the end, and I can live with it because he sacrificed his own moral code as a Starfleet officer in the service of the greater good. Now that's a tough moral choice, but at least he achieved something big there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This it's like that, but with no achievement. And that just,
Well, let us know what you thought of it. We're at RetrekPod on Twitter. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. Oh, you can come and join us on the Facebook group. Just search for Retrek. Dr. Squee, what have we got coming up on the Dr. Squee show?
Well, I'm in the middle of trying to land a few interviews with some documentarians. So I'm about to have a lot of documentarian season. So there's one about Bitcoin, which I'm trying to sort out. One about someone making an amazing motorcycle journey across America.
Cool.
One with me sneezing. That's the lesser known documentary. And there's another one which I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, I've got some really cool documentaries I'm trying to work out. This week we had a kind of fun one. I replayed an episode where I interviewed Kevin Hearn from the Bare Naked Ladies from early in lockdown. It's never been played on radio. And I diced in like loads of music from him and stuff. So I'm thinking of doing a few more of those with the episodes which have never been on radio. So they'll probably come up at some point.
Cool. So check out the Dr. Squee show. And thanks for trekking with us this time. We'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you.
Oh, and happy birthday, Jim, for this week.
Oh, yes, it was my birthday. Thank you.
Surely the birthday.